sponsoring.
Your station.
Well,
Galaxy Radio.
shoot.
I'm sure it's not supposed
I should also probably do my experimental.
Probably start my
Oh, man.
I'm probably gonna do that tomorrow.
Yeah, you can play Fortnite. I'll probably do my experimental for like 5 minutes and then toss it aside to play Fortnite.
Alright, welcome to the CineManiacs. Welcome back. Thank you for listening to that Fortnite conversation for a brief moment while we got the mics on. But we're here back for the second part of our show.
We're talking about video games. We might as well just talk about video games.
As you know, we got a guest with us, our second guest ever with us tonight.
Hi.
Oh, Lord.
I hate you.
I'd like to say that I don't play Fortnite because I love my girlfriend. That is all.
Oh,
my God.
Well.
I hate those memes.
Allie's a lucky woman.
Yes, she is.
Anyways, Andrew, so you are what year here? Just to get to know you a little bit.
I am a junior here at Western University, majoring in film production and minoring in photography.
Nice.
Ooh.
So, have you got any? You said earlier you got films coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like 5 films coming up.
I'm like working on about 5. They're not all mine. I'm doing 2, and I'm editing 2, and I'm like assistant directing on 1.
Nice.
I'm also starring in one of his films.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really excited for that.
Might be whitewashing a bit, but
Oh.
it's intentional. It's a parody.
Yeah, I
kind
was
of
gonna
thing.
say the way I read it, it's like supposed to be
Yeah, we're
like
subverting
that.
some
because it's like Boy
expectations.
Scouts.
Yeah.
So
Is there a specific area of film or profession of film that you are studying towards?
I'm not studying it, but I really want to go into kind of, not experimental, but kind of surrealist cinema, which has no marketability and will never make me any money.
Oh.
But it's a noble pursuit.
There's
I like the Cat in the Hat.
Oh. There's no like job that you would prefer to have or that you're studying towards, just like
Whatever's the top dog, I want to make the decisions. I ain't gonna be nobody's PA.
So you
alright?
wanna be
I ain't running the
executive
Starbucks.
you want to be the executive producer.
Maybe.
You want to sit in the studio.
I just
Office
want to
all
make
day.
Dune with Dennis Villeneuve. Hit me up, Denny.
Denny.
If you're listening right now.
Hey man, I want to act in one of those films.
But all right. Is there any particular one of your films that you want to tell us about or that you're excited about in particular? Or?
My upcoming film is called Jamboree, starring our own Bregan Swigger right here.
Bregan. Excuse me?
I said your name wrong yesterday too.
You spelled it wrong.
Yeah.
You spelled it with an A.
It's about the what do I call him? The orienteering and something scouts of North America.
Yeah.
And it's about their love for his father and getting kidnapped by Native American impersonator scouts.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a fun time.
Nice. When are you shooting the film?
In about 2 weeks, we are
2
going to be
weeks.
shooting.
So this pre-production's pretty underway then?
It got all underway all real fast because we realized we only had 2 weeks until we were shooting.
Oh, well.
But we're chugging now.
Yeah, it got underway.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, it seems like everything's going pretty smoothly on
Yeah.
my end.
Seeing as we haven't told you anything, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just got the script yesterday, so...
That's all you need is the
I got the script and I was told, hey, we're doing a table read Friday.
I'm glad that he actually told you that.
Yeah.
Good, my producer's doing his job. Shout out to Gerard. Love you, bro.
Yeah, I worked with Gerard.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Disappearance Crossing Fire. He's a cool guy. I like him. But do you have any plans, kind of nearing towards the end of your career here at Webster, or what you might?
Well, I've been. I worked at a photo studio for a while, so I kind of got an idea of the studio kind of life. I wouldn't mind working at another kind of photo studio.
Right.
Either my own or working another one.
Nice.
And then maybe do directing on the side, or if I can make a feature that does really well, kind of get into the market of festival kind of stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Work my way up. I want to work for A24, but they're only situated in New York and LA. Open internships for A24. Apply now online.
Yeah, I saw that. I got an
Yeah.
email for it.
I got an email.
Yeah, I get A24 emails now.
Me too.
I need to do that.
They said
They dropped
like
the,
summer internships.
What,
And I was
Silver
like,
Lake trailer they dropped today?
Yeah.
Yeah, they dropped the 8th grade trailer a few days ago.
Yeah.
Both look
That looks
spectacular.
good.
Me and him watched
Eighth
it
grade
last
looks-
night.
No Burnham, boy.
I watched it and I was like, this movie's gonna make me cry.
And then we watched Won't You Be My Neighbor.
And that is gonna make me cry too.
Nice. Are you from St. Louis?
Yes,
Or-
yes,
you are.
Well, I'm from O'Fallon, which is just outside
Oh
St.
yeah,
Louis,
just
so
outside.
I'm from St. Louis.
Nice. So you're Cardinals fan? Or
Yeah, I'd say so.
Blues fan?
I went to my first Blues game this year. I'd actually never
really?
gone to one. But yeah, that was really fun. They lost, of course, but it was still fun.
Right,
wait,
right.
who were they facing?
I think it was Chicago, the team of hockey that I don't.
Blackhawks.
Yeah, probably.
Because I saw the Flyers versus the Blues.
Yeah, I don't know hockey teams.
Yeah, if it
I
was
don't know,
Chicago,
I
it was
don't
the
know.
Blackhawks.
No, all of them.
The Cubs.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go.
God.
The St. Louis Blues versus the
Chicago
Chicago
Cubs.
Cubs.
Now that'd be an interesting game. That's an all-star game right there.
Can you imagine the St. Louis Blues just like skating on the field?
Not going anywhere.
Oh my god.
We should probably talk about the movie.
Well, yeah, all right. That's Andrew Gibbons. That's you then. Thanks for
Check out my YouTube channel, Film Snail.
Thanks.
Make
Yeah.
film
for telling
essays
us about
there.
shit.
Me
Plug and
and
play.
Yeah,
Me
me and
and
Steven
him-
edited one.
me and Brendan did a film.
The Ragnarok video, which will come out at some point. It's a little old now because Thor kind of came out like 6 months ago almost.
Hey, it's never
Oh
too
my
late
God,
to
it's
talk
6
about.
I might adapt it to talk about Black Panther.
It was 4 months.
4 months, okay. Yeah, it's been a hot 7.
But yeah.
All right, then. Thank you for letting us get to know
Yes,
you
sir.
a little bit more.
Thanks
So,
for having me on the show.
yeah, you bet. So let's continue then. What's next on our list?
The next
Angry
movie is
Bird.
Angry Birds.
All right. Who's seen it? Seen
Me.
Just me and Andrew.
it? Andrew.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that's gonna be a debate.
So,
Ready?
Angry Birds, you know, the really simple mobile game that had zero story, was given a movie 2 years ago, and it's pretty much about like Red, who is the Red,
An Angry Bird.
the Red, who is an angry bird, who is also red, you know, like the main color of the main angry bird, and he is pretty much like, I want to say like the town protector, but he kind of just like is like kind of like the leader of the town in a sense.
Yeah, I would say he's kind of the town outcast, like the town drunk.
Yeah, because he's always angry.
Yeah, he's always angry. He was put in the court one time for being too angry,
Yeah,
and they made him go to anger management class, which he got angry about.
yeah. So like he's pretty much like this exile, like is there, and you know they all like the entire town lives their lives, and then one day, out of nowhere, these green pigs come to wherever they're from.
The movie's really about colonialism and
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
you know the white slavers came to Africa and you know took its people's culture away from them, and even though they tried to fight back, all they had was slingshots, you know.
Okay. Okay.
see, you had me, and then you lost me. But pretty much like they come, like the pigs come, and they're like, you know, befriend like the birds, and but little do they know that like they realize that, hey, these pigs are stealing our eggs to eat them. So they have to like they like to go like to their country, like the where like the pigs are, and like fight to get their children back.
I haven't thought it was their children. It's just their eggs.
Well, the eggs are supposed to have their children in them because they're birds.
Yeah, supposedly.
Supposedly, but they're getting their eggs back.
Who played Red? Does anyone know?
Jason
Jason
Sudeikis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought his performance was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm like his performance
There are
is really
parts of
pretty
this
good.
movie that are good, I will say.
Yeah, but like eventually at one point he's basically like when they're like fighting back to get the eggs. That's when it actually starts taking like the format of the Angry Birds game, where you like use the slingshots to, you know, like hit to like destroy their buildings and whatnot. It's a very interesting film. It's not like really good, but it's like on this list is one of the better ones.
Yeah.
It's interesting that like Angry Bird the game was out like kind of the early eras of the iPod and iPhone, and it had really lost any relevance. It'd been like 4 years before the movie came out.
Yeah.
Like no one played Angry Birds anymore.
Yeah.
You were on
It's
Candy
just like the
Crush.
Slender movie that's coming out. What this year?
There's a
August.
Slenderman movie coming
Yeah,
out.
come on in August.
Slenderman.
You haven't seen the trailer?
I
The trailer's so
avoided
bad.
it.
The
I
trailer's
haven't
so
seen
bad.
it. I know the trailer exists, but I ain't seeing it.
I watched it and I hate it.
I'll see it if they show it before a movie in the theater. But that's
Probably
it.
will.
Yeah, well, for being so irrelevant, the movie I think did pretty well at the box office. I mean, it didn't do spectacular, but it made its money back. That's good to say for it. And the animation is pretty good. I don't know, is it Fox that or Blue Sky?
I
think
thought
it's,
it
I
was.
don't think it's Blue Sky.
I'm not sure.
I thought it
On
was
your
Lionsgate.
Rovio? Oh wait,
Rovio
that's
is
the
like coming
yeah,
into
yeah. Columbia Pictures.
Columbia.
Okay.
It's like Sony and Columbia, or just Columbia?
It says Columbia Pictures and Rovio Animation.
From the creators of Surf's Up. I love Surf's Up.
I
We
like
should talk
Surf's
about
Up
that
too.
movie.
Yeah.
Surf's Up 2?
No.
Wave Mania?
No.
That's a good one.
No. First Surf's Up.
But
All comes back to John Cena.
I mean, pretty like Angry Birds is like the animation of the movie is pretty solid. Like and like Andrew said, like it did better. It did pretty good in the box office. And like I didn't have like a huge amount of problem with the movie. Just like it's a kids movie, so I didn't expect the whole
We gotta stop you right there,
Sony,
good sir.
Sony Entertainment.
Sony Entertainment out there.
The movie, they go like Act 1. I think is fine. It's a fine setup. You get to meet your characters. Everything's good. Isn't Chris Rock this yellow bird?
No,
I thought Josh Gad
Who
Josh
I think
Gad
was the yellow bird.
Josh Gad is Chuck.
that's
That's
the
That's
yellow
the yellow
bird.
bird. My bad. Sorry,
And
Chris
Danny
Rock.
McBride is Bomb.
That's
Yeah.
the black bird.
Because Bill Hader's the pig.
Yeah.
Bill Hader.
Peter
is
Dinklage's
like-
in this movie too.
Yeah,
Performances
he
are
plays
all
the
the
mighty
eagle.
eagle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the one that pisses in the lake
Yeah.
and then they drink the piss water.
Oh.
What a good, funny joke. I think that's the point where the movie devolves for me. Because Acts 1 and 2, I was on board for.
What?
Blake Shelton voiced one of the pigs in this movie.
I love your laugh so much.
He played Earl Pig.
Put
Earl.
the Y in
Try.
Both stop.
Oh yeah, we'll stop. Continue.
For me, the Mighty Eagle is about like the end of Act 2, and that's where
in Act 2 we can get
they leave to go to the islands and fight the pigs, and that is where it just becomes complete animated nonsense. And I was really on board. Like I was genuinely enjoying myself, and I was into the narrative. I thought it was pretty well paced. I thought everything was going good for it. And that's the point where it dropped off, and I was just like, oh, I hate this movie. It's stupid. It's just the third act is so long, and nothing happens, and it's just
because
nonsense.
I remember when I watched it at like a friend's place, and I think because for some reason they had already started watching it, and they had already got through like I think part of like Act 1, and like they were halfway through Act 2, so I watched it from the halfway point of Act 2 until like Act 3, and I'm like, Act 2 was like, this is pretty alright. This is probably better than I thought it was. And then like Act 3 was just like, this is chaos. So I'm just like,
it's like holding a spoon in front of a kid, and they see the reflection, and they're like,
yeah.
It's like if you're a baby, I think kids would not even be entertained by flashing colors at this point.
Yeah.
Like if I was a kid, I just kind of get bored.
Yeah. But I'm just like it. I mean, it did good in the sense of utilizing its like source material.
As soon as it got to actually being true to the source material, doing the thing you do in the game, it just lost all of its thematic tension.
Yeah,
and
just
everything
like
in it.
It's just like it did a good job at that, but at the same time, that's also where it fell off. Just like, hey, let's be our source material, which also has no plot. So therefore, it takes away the plot that the movie had. it just becomes like this nonsense of just throwing things into buildings.
And unless I'm misremembering, it is yet another animated movie that ends in a dance party.
You're not wrong.
Oh my
Yeah, it
God.
The
It does.
curse of animated children's movies.
Dance parties.
At least Sausage Party circumvented that by having an orgy at the end instead of a dance
It also
party.
wasn't a kids movie, as we all
Yeah.
thought it was when the trailer first came out.
I don't want to talk about Sausage Party.
No
I'm
one
sorry I
does.
brought it
Let's
up.
not talk about
That movie
Sausage
is-
Party.
See, I thought the movie was good when I first saw it, and I'm like, this movie's garbage.
I like Sausage Party.
I thought it was funny.
Still
But we're
think
not
it's-
gonna talk
still think
about
it's
it.
garbage.
That's fine.
Well, is garbage like just like plot? And
I
not-
think
It's like
funny.
communism. It all looks good on paper, but then you try and execute it, and everything just goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
No, you're not wrong. My AP Euro teacher, she always said the same exact thing.
Mhm.
Communism looks good on paper, but when you try and do
I
it-
know my Marxist theory. Don't test me on this.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Yeah.
But I mean, is there anything else you need to say about Angry Birds?
Made me angry, so I guess the movie worked.
It did not turn you into a bird, so I guess it didn't.
I was
go
kind
all
of
the way
squawking at the end, so it might have worked.
through. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in the end of it, I'll just like,
It's
it is off, like-
forgettable. I mean, it's not like it ruins a franchise or anything.
yeah, it's
No
not
one
like
cares about Angry Birds.
Yeah, like it did its job. It looks like, hey, remember this game. Here's the movie so you can remember the game. And I'm like, it did its job. Like, hey, I kind of want to play Angry Birds now after I watch this
To my
movie.
knowledge, they paid the animators, so good on you, Sony.
Yeah, so
There's one thing that you do right.
yeah.
And advertise yourself, and they didn't advertise themselves in the movie.
There were no Sony products that I know of.
Were there
He
any-
might have had like a phone.
Were there any like actual like product placement in this movie to begin with?
Not that I can think of. Usually Sony's really bad about that.
Yeah, they advertise
Yeah.
every single one of their movies.
Amazing
They
Spider-Man 2
advertise
was
some-
really bad
Don't
at-
talk to me about
That's
the Amazing
not-
Spider-Man 2.
It's not the movie's
I enjoyed
bad.
the Amazing Spider-Man 2, but okay.
Why?
Oh.
I'm sorry, I do.
You're in the minority, right?
I like
now.
Amazing
What's
Spider-Man
that?
2 more than I like Spider-Man 3.
Okay, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's
I
its own
do.
problem for another time.
Yeah.
I do, I'm sorry.
We'll talk about comic book movies. We're talking about video game movies.
Ratings.
Yeah. You both are done. So
I mean,
Yeah, what did I give the 6 out of 10 to earlier?
Prince of
Prince
Persia.
of Persia.
I guess this is worse than Prince of Persia. I like it for the most part, but it's bad. But I kind
just
of
the last
enjoy
third
most
of
of
the
it.
movie.
Yeah, it's kind of like I saw Annihilation last week, and I really enjoyed the movie. This is kind of the opposite, where I thought that the beginning was the weaker part of Annihilation, and then the end was the great part. And I just wish that parts in the beginning weren't there. I wish that Angry Birds didn't have that ending.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I'm gonna give it a 5.5-ish out of 10. It's not horrible, but I wish it was better.
I'll just go ahead and just give this like a solid 5. Like it's like it literally is like halfway of. I can watch this, but I will probably not be entertained by it if I watch it just to kill time.
All right.
I'll be entertained for like partially, and then after I'm just like I don't care about this movie anymore.
All right. Nice.
To clear the record, Annihilation is much, much better than
Oh
Angry Birds.
yes. Oh yes. More
I mean,
is
Don't
better.
get me wrong.
Anything we've ever watched.
Annihilation is much better than anything that we talk about on this show tonight.
Yeah.
Especially this next movie.
Yeah. We
You
only got.
barely even paid attention to it, Steven.
I paid attention enough to get the gist of it.
Steven, you were
It's
on your
garbage.
phone for practically the whole
You know,
movie.
I was in my
And that's
room
not a
doing homework for the entire movie. I could hear the movie and you two outside of it. I got the gist of the movie.
See.
Just
You don't have to pay attention. You need to be in a room or be in like any viewing this to get this movie. So don't get mad at me. I did pay attention in some parts, but like
Okay.
also like didn't
I know.
for good reasons.
I know because I had to tell you one of the important parts that you missed.
why don't you guys
No,
say
you
what
didn't.
the final film is that we're
No, you
reviewing
Yes, I
tonight?
did.
Which part?
You didn't even know that there was like that Lara Croft and Alex were ex-lovers.
They were?
That was
Yes.
like that was a line of dialogue in the
The
beginning.
final
of the
film we are reviewing tonight is
Lara
Tomb Raider.
Croft's Tomb Raider.
Lara
Angelina
Croft.
Jolie's Tomb Raider.
So
Came out in
So-
2003.
One, I thought.
No,
2003.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was 2001. The second one came out 2003. Because Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie made Mr. and Mrs. Smith like in 04 or 05.
Let's look it up.
I thought that's what it was.
Oh, you're looking it up. So basically, Lara Croft Tomb Raider is about. So basically, it's just Lara Croft and she.
Yeah, you're right. 2001.
Was it 2001?
Is
I
this
swear.
is it Angelina Jolie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So-
that one.
So, oh god, the plot is really messy in this movie. Me and Steven watched this movie last night. It's a very messy plot. Basically, the gist of it is that Lara Croft, she is an archaeologist and a Tomb Raider. Obviously, that's the whole point of the movies, the games, all that. And her dad talked about how there was a planetary alignment every 5,000 years. And there is this group that is wanting to find this all-seeing eye
Wait a
tablet.
second. It's not just any group.
It's
the
the
Illuminati.
The Illuminati is the bad guy of this movie. And they are trying to find the triangle of the all-seeing eye so that they can use it whenever the planets align
Oh my
to
god!
destroy the world.
Wow.
See, hearing it back, it just makes it so much more ridiculous than it was in the movie.
I thought that the Nazis getting the Holy Grail was kind of an out there plot, but this sounds a lot more.
You're right, because it is. This movie is
Let me just say
bad.
that the head of the Illuminati, his first line of dialogue is, "Today is the 15th of May, 1 week away from the planetary alignment." And so, like, what Lara Croft is doing is she finds out that her father stashed away a map that led to the two pieces of the triangle of the all-seeing eye. Both of them are at separate ends of the world. So one is in, what was it, like Brazil?
It was something.
It was in Brazil. One of them was
Cambodia,
in
I'm pretty sure.
Cambodia, and the other one was in, what was it, like Siberia.
Siberia.
And so they even bring up, like, how are you going to get from here to here in like 15 hours? And then they just cut to it, and they don't really explain how they get away from it.
Editing in this movie is garbage. Like,
Yeah,
it is
that's-
pure garbage.
I-
Like, the fact of literally in the first 3 seconds of this film, I was already irritated. Because the intro,
There's like 6 cuts.
there are like 6 cuts in just the intro of the movie.
There's 6 cuts in like 5 seconds.
And then like every other scene has like
And it's not like
10 different cuts in it.
It's not like Baby Driver editing, where it's like really good and you can still understand what's going on. There is a scene where the Illuminati is breaking into Lara Croft's manor so that they can steal the map, and she ends up riding a motorcycle in her garage while firing a submachine gun at 2 of the guys in the garage, and you can't tell how big the garage is. It's a mess. You
Okay.
can't tell where anyone's at. And it's just a mess.
And it's all like unnecessarily fast too.
Yeah, it's not like Baby Driver where it's like fast paced and like it works.
You already said
It's
that.
just
Yeah.
I know, but I'm emphasizing
It's
it. Because-
fast and confusing.
Yes.
And also fast and irritating. Because it
Yes.
irritated me the entire. Which is why I stopped paying attention. I'm like, if I just keep paying attention to this movie, it's gonna just aggravate me so much more. And it did, because every time I just looked up at the screen, there was something there that just pissed me off even more. Whether
This
it be
movie
like,
got a sequel though.
whether it be plot, bad editing, or just music that really pissed me off. Like at one point they had like the really common like stock footage like suspense music, like the do 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 do. It was in there at one point, and I'm like, why is this here in a feature-length blockbuster
Film.
film? I'm gonna say like this isn't AAA, but
It's not AAA.
it's like
It's not.
it's
AAA.
like double A.
Hey, it was the most successful video game movie up until Prince of Persia,
Oh, really?
Which
which
I'm
was then
glad.
beat by Warcraft.
Isn't Star Wars a video game?
I'm
Stop
getting
talking.
But
I said this last night. The best part of the movie is Daniel Craig because Daniel Craig's in this movie. And, what?
We should talk about Jumanji.
No.
No.
Daniel Craig. What did Daniel Craig have to do with Jumanji?
Because Jumanji's a video game movie.
But where did that come
That's the
from?
sequel.
From Daniel Craig.
I
Yeah.
just remember Jumanji. I'm sorry.
We already reviewed Jumanji.
Yeah, that came out yesterday.
Daniel Craig's good in Star Wars.
He was in Star Wars.
He's a
The Force
stormtrooper.
Awakens, yeah.
I'm sorry.
And so,
There's
Dan-
my 2 cents.
Daniel Craig is the best part of this movie for me, just because he has some funny lines and he seems to be like the best actor. The guy that plays Jorah Mormont
From
in Game of Thrones is the bad guy in this movie. So you said that you don't understand why Peter Dinklage was in Pixels, and that was a bad movie. Jorah Mormont was in this movie.
Peter Dinklage has been in some bad movies.
He's an underdog.
Yeah.
He was an underdog?
He was the
main
villain.
villain. Underdog.
You're right! Robert Downey Jr. was the villain in Shaggy Dog.
And they're both come together for Marvel.
Yeah. But no, like, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, it has a lot of problems, and the writing is not really good because it lost me 5 minutes into the movie when Lara goes out of her manor and
To
there
a
is a
tent.
tent in her backyard, and that is where her father's tombstone is. Like, that's where her father is
Inside
buried.
a tent?
Yes, but there's no body because this is what it reads on the tombstone. It says her father's name, and then it says, "Missing in the field." It has his birth date, his death date.
You can't forget the day he died was the same day was the eclipse started.
Yeah.
If he died missing in action, that means they don't know he died. He
No,
went missing
Get this.
in action.
It says, "Missing in the field," and underneath that it says, "Lost but not forgotten."
It's so funny.
That is what her father's tombstone reads as she
Like-
looks down at it, starts to cry, and says, "I miss you, Daddy."
That was literally my favorite part of the entire film. Was just that like grammatical mess of the sentence.
It just absolutely lost me. No one is gonna write on their tombstone, "Missing
You know
in
what?
the field."
I'm gonna do that now. I'm gonna do that
Missing
now.
in the field.
Stephen Lang.
I'm gonna do that one day.
Missing
Stephen
in the
Lang the
field.
second.
Just to see
Missing
who-
in the field.
Just see one day if some kid will just stumble upon my grave and get the joke.
I want a T-shirt that just says "Missing in the Field."
And on the back says "Lost but not forgotten."
But like, this whole movie is just a mess, and it really bothers me because this is a very clear movie where you can see the sexism, because they tried so hard to emphasize her breasts in this movie.
Well, she had square
Yeah.
ones in the game, so
They were
They
triangles.
look like triangles in this film.
they only had 2 pixels to work with in that game, so I understand.
I was gonna say, like, of everything I heard last night, that was the one comment I
That-
kept
Because-
hearing from you.
Because here's the thing, they were like framed, like center of the screen, like 90% of the time.
What's the Fibonacci sequence for you? You got to think about, composition. You got the S curve going on.
There is a scene where it's whenever the guys invade her manor. She's in her pajamas, bungee jumping in her hallway.
Wait, like a bungee cord?
Yes.
She's just like jumping up and down and like
She's like
flipping.
doing
She's doing
exercise or
somersaults.
whatever.
Like, that's her nightly exercise. And all of the buttons on her shirt are undone except for the one right between her breasts, so that they won't be seen.
Well, that's nice.
But like,
of
you
them.
get to see her stomach and everything else, and I'm just like, why? Not even 10 minutes into this movie, you get a shower scene.
It's the most. It is the dumbest and most unnecessary shower scene I have probably ever seen.
Worse than Alien Covenant?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
That was
no.
pretty cool, I thought.
We'll talk about that later.
Like this, because after we watched this movie, we watched the Cinema Sins version of this movie,
And they pointed that out.
and the joke he was like, it's like, this is like it was unnecessary and just like reminds me of like just like some herbal essence commercial. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right because it does.
Like, the lighting and everything just makes it like really like sensual and seductive, but it doesn't show anything because it's
Okay.
a PG-13 movie.
Also,
and it's just very odd.
at one point near the end, when you find out that time travel is also involved in this film, it is ridiculous.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there's
The Sands of Time Dagger?
no.
No,
So
the
you find out
Illuminati eye.
where she go, wherever the last place they go, you find out that there's like a time storm. There's like a random like rip
Time
of
Storm?
yes.
Yes.
A Wrinkle in Time?
It's like a little like portal, and if you like dive through that portal or whatever.
Well, the example they used with the dog.
Yeah.
Could the dog I guess aged or whatever? I don't know what happened. He went back in time.
Yeah.
No one knows what happened, but it
He was
occurred.
like younger or something.
Yeah, and so when this happens, Daniel Craig dies.
Yeah.
Like
Jorah Mormon throws a knife and it just gets him straight in the chest and he falls into the little water pool that they have.
So once that happens, Amy Julie's trying to save him, and it doesn't work. So a bunch of things happen, which also involves her going back in time to talk with her father, which doesn't make sense because she's the exact same age as she was before he went back in time. So and her father knew what was happening
Because that actually happened. She had just left the tent outside their manor, apparently, and I think that's what it was. She actually was talking to her father, and she was like, "Is this real?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's real."
Stupid.
Apparently, it actually happened.
And at one point, she brings up the good question, if I can go back in time, why can't I just bring you back with me and save you? And he's just it's not how it works.
Yeah,
we can go back and save Daniel Craig.
But then she goes back in time and saves. She just turns the knife around that Jorah Mormon threw.
So when that happens, she comes back to where she is, and you watch the knife come out of his chest. He comes out of the water, and then the knife just pulls out of his chest, and as it goes, it stops. She stops it, and she reverses it back to point towards Jorah Mormon, and for some weird reason, there is this oddly sensual music playing in the background. She just switches the knife around as she bleeds because she's grabbing the front and then for some reason I don't know why.
Why didn't she just grab the handle and just pull it?
Also, why was it so hard to move it? And it was you just move it around.
Yeah.
Doesn't take that much effort.
What I don't get is even though she turned it away, it would still be going that way.
She changed the trajectory. She changed the momentum.
That's not how it works. That's not.
Okay, this movie doesn't do anything right. Okay, so why are you upset about that?
In X-Men: Days of Future Past, whenever they went really fast,
you can't compare
a
really good movie like that.
I know,
You
but
can't compare
what I'm
good-
saying is you can't just
Peter
because you go
Dinklage is
back in
in that too.
time.
It is. England and
Just because you go back in time and turn it around doesn't mean that the momentum is going to change.
Are you applying logic to Lara Croft Tomb Raider?
Yes.
Please stop.
Stop. Because it's not. It's just gonna make you more upset.
I'm sorry. It's
But-
just dumb.
He just turned
Yeah,
red.
exactly.
That was just
it's a dumb. It's just bad
that was the-
movie.
That was the weirdest thing I ever saw. And I'm she's turning a knife and bleeding. Why is there why is there just sensual music playing in the background of this? And I just feel uncomfortable watching this.
And then of course it had to end with a no weapons. Let's fist fight to the death.
Just lasted
Thing at the end
a
that
minute.
lasted a minute and a half. There was no tension whatsoever. It's not he was really good
Did
at
she
fighting.
kill him?
Yeah, she snapped his neck.
Yeah.
Nice.
She
Second
throat punched him
one.
and snapped his neck at the same time.
Okay.
It was weird.
Also, after that happens, she leaves this. She leaves this temple that is literally falling apart, and just in the next shot, she's just back at home in a dress.
Yeah, they didn't show how she got back. She literally just leaves the tomb and then she's back at home.
They have a lot of cuts that are like that in the movie. Just she's one place and now she's immediately in a different place with no sense of her traveling there. It's like she just fast traveled.
Yeah.
Like the video game.
No, I don't think you did the game. You can't just fast travel.
Yeah, it's not like a free roam game.
Yeah,
I played Rise of the Tomb Raider.
I have not.
That's pretty good.
I started playing now. I haven't finished it yet. But she does that twice, and every time I see it, it aggravates me. Also, when it's before they go back, and it's like before she. No, it is before. It's after they go back in time, because like she breaks apart like the two tablets that get put together.
By shooting it.
She shoots it, and it takes her. It takes it to like a really weird like dream sequence in which they're running up a pyramid. And they're like grabbing it, and they have to like grab like the triangle at the top. It's really weird, and it makes zero sense. And I like watching. I'm just like, what is this? And it really looked like they just like pushed it in this movie.
And like Jorah Mormont, like, cause the knife stabs him, and he's like bleeding, and he tells Lara that whenever he killed her dad, he begged for his life, and it shows a cut of Jorah Mormont and Lara Croft's dad on top of a mountain, and her dad's just like, no, please don't, and it just shows him like shoot him in the head, and that's it. Like it just shows us like a 5-second snippet of him killing her dad, and it's really weird and out of place. There are just so many cuts that do not make any sense. Whenever she first goes to Cambodia to get one half of the tablet, she gets out of her Jeep, and the camera just zooms in on one of her pistols, and then it cuts to her face. And it's just like, why did we need to see that she brought her pistols?
Wait a second. I forgot something else happened. So, there's also a random ghost girl in this movie, too.
That's telling Lara where to go.
And it's unnecessary, because it's just like, they go to Cambodia, and the ghost girl is there, and talks to her, and just disappears. And it's like, it's like this Japanese, it was like this like little Japanese girl. And then when they go to Russia, she pops back up, but she's an Eskimo girl who's no longer Japanese. And it makes no sense.
And she's just like, you're risking your life to see him again. And Laura's like, who? And she's like, your father. And Laura has like an existential crisis, turns around to see where Daniel Craig is, turns back, and the girl's gone. Yeah. And that's the last time you see the girl. There's no explanation as to why she was there at all. She's just there and gone.
Gone, girl. Oh. But, so once she leaves the temple, like we said, it comes back to her being at home. Like her butler and her science, her nerdy science gadget dude that lives with her, like Bryce is his name. And she walks to her butler, who has a platter, and you don't know what's under it. And a robot pops up, which is the robot that
her training robot.
The training robot that her friend Bryce made. And all of a sudden, the butler pulls back the white sheet, and it's her 2 guns, and she poses them, and it freeze frames, and it ends.
Set up for the next one.
Yeah.
It's such a garbage ending.
There's another scene where Daniel Craig is taking a shower, and he hears a noise in his the living room of his hotel room. So he turns off the water in the shower, gets out, doesn't put on a towel or anything, walks into the living room, grabs a pistol, he's still naked, hears a knock on the door, goes to the door, opens it up, and it's one of the maids at the hotel with a bunch of towels, and he's still naked, and she throws a towel at him, screams and runs away as he's covering himself up and turns around and sees Lara Croft sitting at his table. And I was like, why did he didn't even cover
it's the Daniel Craig sex appeal.
He just grabs the gun as he's butt naked and
why didn't he look in the living room if he thought he heard someone?
He did, and Laura wasn't there. But then he
she was bungee jumping up above.
It is such a bad movie. And of course the Jorah Mormont, the bad guy, he's this rich guy, and they go to Cambodia. He went to Cambodia with Daniel Craig because he was paying Daniel Craig to help him. And so they have to establish that Jorah Mormont is the big bad guy, but he's not the smart one of the group. He's he's like the leader. Like, I'm not going to do my own work. I'm going to pay everyone else to do it. Because they had to show that his servants brought his couch to Cambodia for him to sit on the entire time as the workers were pulling down the statue to get into the temple.
They had to show that, but they couldn't show her traveling to the different locations.
Yeah.
There's one part where we see part of her travel where the Jeep, where she's going to Cambodia, is parachuting down as she's riding inside.
Like they airdropped a whole Jeep.
It's like Fast and Furious. It's like Fast and Furious.
And she was inside the Jeep, and as soon as it lands, she like cuts the cords and drives off.
It's literally like Fast and Furious, where they just drop all the cars.
Where we dropping, boys?
It is such a like, and like Daniel Craig helps tear down the statue so that they can get to the tablet. And, like, in one shot, he takes off his shirt and he starts helping pull down the statue. Literally, one cut later, you see the statue falling down and he's standing next to the statue urging the workers to continue pulling after they just showed that he was helping. It is just so bad.
This film was literally like in editor's hell.
It is so bad, dude.
Well, you guys got any more?
No, this movie is complete garbage.
You got on for almost like 30 minutes.
I'm gonna say that I hope that the newest Tomb Raider is better than this one.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it is.
I think Alicia Vikander is a much better actress.
Than Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
Also, you know, I forget her name, but she's like, actively like she's British actually.
Mm-hmm.
Alien
Alicia
Jolie
Vikander?
isn't.
Yeah, Alicia Vikander.
Yeah, Alien Jolie isn't. So she has a very bad like British accent in the movie, and Daniel Craig has an American accent in this movie, which is also bad.
And like CineManiacs brought up, they're like, why didn't you just keep Daniel Craig British? There's no reason for him to be American in this movie.
Like it doesn't like he can just stay British and no one would bat an eye. Like,
Wait, he is a bad American? Like,
Yeah, it's a pretty bad
it's
American
well,
accent.
he probably fixed it within the time like.
oh, okay. I was gonna
2001 and
say, like,
2018.
he.
But back in 2001,
Okay.
it was not
yeah, when
good.
he was first starting out. I
And he
get
was
it.
like,
garbage.
hey, Laura.
It was very bad.
Oh my
And
God.
I've heard a lot of crappy like fake accents or just like mostly like people like not speaking their native language, and those are a lot better than just Daniel Craig's American accent.
Yeah.
I still think he's the best part of this movie.
If you say so.
There's one part where they have a really like back and forth talk because like Laura's in the tomb and Daniel Craig's in the tomb helping Jorah Mormont get the first part of the tablet, and he's doing like the countdown, and Laura's like, "Hey, Alex," and he's like, "Hey," and like he's supposed to be like keeping track of the countdown. And then they start bantering back and forth, and then he's like, "Oh wait, we got like 12 seconds left before we gotta put the map into the key, not the map, the key into the door." It was pretty fun. I thought that was pretty fun, but that was really it.
Yeah, I'm done with this movie.
Okay. Then,
Yeah, I think I'm done.
We just go on a break.
ratings, yeah.
You go.
Migo, I'll give Lara Croft Tomb Raider a 4.2.
Alright.
So better than Angry Birds for me. Comparison wise.
Well, I'm saying that this because I didn't see Angry Birds. I'm saying that this
better than
movie.
Pixels. I gave Angry Birds a high.
I'm
rating
saying
than
that this movie is just slightly better than Assassin's Creed.
Alright. Steven?
I'm like debating between like, and I'm in like debating like, is it like a 3 or is it a 4? 3 is garbage. This movie is like pure garbage. It's nothing else.
It got a
Is it-
sequel.
And the sequel's probably equally as garbage.
It got a remake.
The
Got a
remake.
With Alicia Vikander.
The remake, I hope to God, is not garbage as these two movies. But I'll give it like a 3.2. I hate this movie. because it pissed me off so much. It's probably because like I really want to be an editor, and this movie is just like how to. If you want to show someone how to not edit, how to be a bad editor, you just show them this movie, and it's like all bad editing. Because
This movie does have some really bad edits.
I'm telling you, this movie is just garbage.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
This movie,
I'm not
editing
saying I
is horrible.
disagree.
I know. God, this movie's bad. Yeah, I give it a 3.2.
All
I
right.
hate it.
Well, then that's going to be it. That wraps up our video game show for tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew, for being our guest tonight.
Thanks for having me, Levi.
No problem, buddy. Hopefully in the future, maybe you'll be a guest again.
Yeah, that'd be
sometime
great.
in the future. Yeah.
Some more movies I've actually seen.
But yeah, no, thank you for being our guest tonight. And go see Alicia Vikander's Tomb Raider out in theaters now. So that's about it. I got nothing else. Are you gonna be on this week, Steven?
Depending on how my schedule, like how much stuff I have to do work. So.
All right. Make sure you tune in to Tosh on Monday nights then with David and Irvin. Make sure you tune into them, check them out, see what they got going on. And that's pretty much it. I got nothing else. Tune in next week.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're going to do yet.
Pacific Rim comes out this weekend.
What?
Pacific Rim comes out this weekend. Probably
I've heard good things about this.
Pacific Rim Uprising comes out this weekend.
I haven't seen the original Pacific Rim.
Gotta
Oh,
watch
really?
it.
Same.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty
Guillermo del
alright.
Toro.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, names are probably never seen it.
I know.
Best Picture winner.
I
Guillermo
just
del Toro.
never got around to seeing it.
Yeah, and I actually haven't. I'm surprised that you're hearing good things about the new one.
It's like good trash. Like it's horrible, but it's very enjoyable.
Okay, good.
All
Because I
right.
did not think it was going to be good to begin with, so I'm like, we can have fun with this. So I'm happy
Yeah.
I can have fun
Well,
with this movie.
we'll make an announcement, obviously, for
Yeah.
next week, what we're going to do. We will be on next week. You'll have to wait till next week to find out what we're going to do. So, that's pretty much all we got then. So,
Chewing.
I'm just having fun with
oh,
my life.
Lord.
Alright.
So, then, signing off one last time.
I'm Brendan.
I'm Steven.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Levi. Thank you for tuning into the CineManiacs right here on your station, your voice, the Galaxy Radio. Good night. Good night, moonlight.
Good night,
Moonlight.
Moon.
Daylight. Play that
It's a fire.